What's up, guys? I want to tell you a story today. It's going to be kind of a quick video. I want to tell you a story of the most difficult physical thing I've had to overcome. The biggest physical challenge of my life. At least the moment I realized it. I was trekking in Nepal in late 2016. Keep in mind that I'm much more out of shape at this point and probably 70-ish, 60-ish pounds heavier than I am now. Trekking is where you strap all your gear to your back and you decide to go hiking. So in Nepal, it's home of the Himalayas where Mount Everest is at. I decided to go trek. It's day 6 or 7. I'm trekking with a group of kids that I met. We get done, maybe midday, a little after midday, sometime, maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We get done, we reach our village, and I'm all for stopping. I want tea, I'm exhausted. Day 6 of 8 to 10 hours of trekking each day. 8 to 6 hours, 10 hours of trekking. The group decides that they want to push on to the next village. They said, oh, it's not too far, it's only 600 meters. They decide they want to push on, they want to keep going. The next village is maybe 1.2 kilometers away, but another 800 meters up. This would push us maybe around 3,200 meters above sea level. That's well over 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet is where they say you feel the difference in altitude. You feel the thinness in the air. The oxygen is literally not there. So to go with the group, I said, screw it, why not? I'm going to be slow, but hey, don't let me hold you guys up. Why don't you guys go on ahead? So here we are, switchbacks. For those of you who don't know, switchbacks are, you're hiking up a hill, and then you turn, and then you hike up another hill. And then you turn, and you hike up another hill. And then you turn, and it keeps switching back and forth, back and forth. So we're hiking up these switchbacks. Sun starts setting. And here I am, step, breathe, breathe, step, breathe, breathe. I'm really starting to feel the altitude. For every breath, I needed 3. I'm out of shape, I'm overweight, and I'm all around thinking, this is the hardest thing I have to do. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do physically. It was more of a mental game than a physical game. Sure, my legs were on fire, my knees hurt, my back hurt from carrying this pack for days on end, hiking hundreds of miles. But I kept going. Now I was traveling with a girl. Her name was Melanie. She is from Austria. Her and her friend were traveling. They decided to go trekking in Nepal, and we had met them along the trail. So the only person in our group of about 8 to 10 people that stayed back was Melanie. Now Mel was phenomenally more in shape than I. She would actually hike well on ahead of me, sit and wait. Then I would catch up. And I would just keep walking, and she'd pass me again, and she'd go and sit and wait. But she would talk to me. She would explain that this was all worth it. In my head, I'm like, sure it is. She told me about this thing called peak high. Growing up in Austria, she'd been around mountains her whole life. Growing up in Ohio, I hadn't. She's had the opportunity to climb mountains before and experience what they call peak high. Now here I am, pushing step, breathe, step, breathe, step, breathe. Switchback after switchback. Hours go by. The group is presumably there already. And I am slowly working my way up the mountain. The sun starts setting. The wind starts biting. I throw on my coat, I throw on my gloves. Now something you guys don't know is I sweat a lot. So now mix sweat, extreme cold, and a lot of wind. It's not a great mixture of stuff. I'm pushing through though. Step, breathe, step, breathe. My legs literally screaming at me at this point. She keeps telling me, you can make it, you can make it, you can do it. I take a rest. I get back up, strap my bag back on. She gives me this little candy, this little sugar candy that I guess endurance athletes use. It's basically the purest form of sugar you can ingest, and just to give you that kick of energy that you need to finish. So I eat this, possibly the best thing I've tasted in my entire life. And I go back at it. Step, breathe. Step, breathe. Before long, really hours had passed, I see the little stone archway off in the distance at the top of a decently long hill, but it wasn't too much of a climb left. So I push on, step, breathe, step, breathe. I finally get to the top. I spot a bench. I walk over to it. I take my backpack off. I basically toss it onto the ground, and I collapse onto this bench. Melanie sits next to me. And I look out and realize this entire time, the hours I had been trekking up these switchbacks, I'd never once taken the time to look back. I didn't look out. And before I know it, I just see possibly the most spectacular mountain vistas I've ever seen in my entire life. Now here I am, absolutely mentally exhausted, physically drained, legs screaming, lungs screaming, heart pounding through my chest, collapsed onto this bench, and not even being dramatic, a single tear dropped down my face. I'd finally experienced peak high, something that for hours we were chatting about on the way up. Well, she was mostly chatting. I was concentrated mostly on breathing instead of talking. I have to say, thank you to Mel. Now, I can't say Melanie is the reason I made it. I was gonna make it. I was gonna get there. But I can say that Melanie helped make the entire process better. And while some people can't directly help, just their presence is presence enough, I guess. I've never had the chance to really thank Melanie for that formative memory in my life, but probably one of my favorite memories of trekking, and easily one of the best triumphs of a physical trial that I've ever had to go through. So, what prompted this talk on gratitude? I was at TedX Windsor up in Canada a couple weeks ago, and I listened to a speaker named Keka talk about gratitude and how we should show it a little bit more. I was thinking, I need to tell people more that I'm thankful for what they do, regardless if they realize it or not. So I want to take this time to say, Mel, thank you, and to share a story with you guys of a time where I had to persevere. Perseverance, the anticipation of making it up there, pushing through that mental block, pushing through that physical block, pushing through past all my obstacles. And I made it up there. There was no option in turning around for me. And when I got to the top, it was beyond worth it.